Hi everyone, today we're going to be looking at lesson 1 for section 5.5, which is on standard form. Today, students will be able to find and graph linear equations in standard form using intercepts. You will need a notebook and pencil, and then if you have the mini graphs that I printed out for you, those will be handy as well. So let's get started. The first thing that we need to talk about is what is standard form. Standard form of an equation of a linear equation is ax plus by is equal to c. A, b, and c are real numbers. A is greater than 0, so it cannot be negative, and b does not equal 0. So b can be any number, just not equal to 0. A has to be a positive real number, and then C can be any real number. So positive, negative, equal to 0 does not matter. We are going to be looking at finding the intercepts of these equations, and I think you guys are going to really find this to be pretty easy compared to other things that we've been doing with slope-intercept form and point-slope form. So the idea is when we're finding the x and y intercepts of any graph, of any equation, one of the values is always 0. So if we are looking at the y-intercept, I'm going to write this over here on the right. So if we're looking at the y-intercept, what ends up happening is the y value is always a number, right? A number on the x or y axis, or I'm sorry, on the y axis. But the x value always has to be 0. That's what's putting it on the y axis. So x always has to equal 0. Then for the x-intercept, it's kind of the opposite, right? For it to be on the x-axis, the y has to be 0. So in this case, we have a number and then 0. So for us to find the x and y intercepts of each equation, we're going to plug in 0 and solve for one of the variables. So let's start with solving for the y-intercept. I'll do that in pink for number 3. What we're going to do, I'm sorry, this should be say number 1, but it's number 3. Anyway, what we're going to do is to solve for the y-intercept, I'm going to plug in 0 where x is. So I have 2 times 0 minus 3y is equal to 18. Well, anything times 0 cancels out, right? 2 times 0 is 0. So what we end up getting is the equation negative 3y is equal to 18. That we can solve for, there's only one variable. So I am going to divide by negative 3. And when I do that, I get y is equal to negative 6. So we get this coordinate point now. Remember, x was 0, and our y value is negative 6. That is our y-intercept. That is the coordinate point for it. We can also do the same thing for the x-intercept. In this case, now I'm going to plug in 0 for y. So I get 2x minus 3 times 0 is equal to 18. Well, just like before, 3 and 0 cancel out, and we're left with 2x is equal to 18. I can divide by 2, and x is equal to 9. Then if I was to write that as a coordinate, I get the value 9, 0, and that is our answer. Okay? And we're pretty much going to be using the same method for every single equation that we have. So looking here, I have 9x plus 5y is equal to 9. So same thing, I'm going to plug in 0 for x and y and solve for the intercepts. So let's start with solving for y. So I'm going to plug in 0 for x. So 9 times 0 plus 5y is equal to 9. 9 times 0 cancels out. I'm left with 5y equals 9. I can divide by 5. And y is equal to 9/5. So notice in this case, right, our y-intercept, it's not a nice number. It's a fraction. This would be slightly difficult to graph, but we could still do it. So my coordinate point here is 0, 9/5. Then I'm going to solve for my x-intercept and plug in 0 for y. So we get 9x plus 5 times 0 is equal to 9. Again, 5 times 0 cancels. We can divide everything by 9, and we get x is equal to 1. So our x-intercept is 1, 0. There we go. We found the intercepts for each equation, and then we could proceed to then go on and graph these. So now we're going to practice. We are actually going to graph these lines using their x and y intercepts. Now these are different equations from before, so we will have to solve for them. So I'm going to solve for my y-intercept and plug in 0 for x. So I get 4 times 0 minus 5y is equal to negative 20. 4 times 0 cancels out, and I get negative 5y is equal to negative 20. Divide by negative 5. And y is equal to 4. So that is the coordinate 0, 4. I need to graph that point. If I start at my origin, I'm just going to go up 4, and I have this point right here. That is the point 0, 4. That is my y-intercept. Now I'm going to solve for my x-intercept. So I have 4x minus 5 times 0 is equal to negative 20. That cancels out, and we are left with 4x is equal to negative 20. Divide by 4. And x is equal to negative 5. So that gives us the point negative 5, 0. If I start at my origin, I'm going to go left 5. And that's where I land on my x-axis. Now that I have the 2 points, I can take a straight edge, a ruler, anything, so I can then graph my line. Mine's not going to be perfect because I'm doing this on my iPad, but you kind of get the idea. And that is our line. So notice I didn't need a slope. I didn't need a point. I didn't need to find my y-intercept in slope-intercept form. All I needed to do was find the intercepts from this equation and graph it. Now let's do one more. So for this one here, I have x plus 6y is equal to 3. So let's solve for the y-intercept first. So we get 0 plus 6y is equal to 3. So the 0 just kind of cancels itself out. And then we can divide by 6. And what happens is I get y is equal to, let's write it as 3/6 first. But then notice this reduces down to 1/2. So we get the point 0, 1/2. In this case, we can pretty much graph this. It's going to be in between 0 and 1 on the y-axis, so kind of right here in the middle. Okay. Then I can solve for my x-axis. So I get x is equal to, x plus 6y is equal to 3. I'm supposed to plug in 0 for y. And then the 6 times 0 cancels out. And in this case, we just get x is equal to 3. Not much that we have to do there. And the point is 3, 0. So now I'm going to start my origin, go right 3, and there is my point. Then we can graph this. And there we go. There is our line for that one. So notice it's a very, very, it's not very steep of a slope. And that is it for this lesson on 5.5. If you have any questions, please reach out, and I will see you all in person. Thanks. Bye, guys.